Welcome to Module 3. We're going to start talking about formatting, and we've done a little bit of that, and we'll clean things up a little bit more now. But specifically, I want to talk about conditional formatting. So we're going to have cells be formatted in different ways based on different criteria. We talked about the if statement and different variations of that in the last section, and this is kind of a play off of that. We're going to have a criteria, a condition for a range of cells, and then we're going to do something to those cells automatically. So for instance, the easiest version we're going to do first, if a cell is over a certain value, it's going to turn a certain color. And if it's under a certain value, another color. And there's color ranges and scales we can work into there too. For you perfectionists out there, and I myself am one, please don't be worried too much about the fact that our sheet looks very basic and very incomplete. By the end of this course, it will be complete. We're going to start filling in these two columns and then making some better and more advanced calculations on our balance based on all the things that we've learned up to this point in the next two sections. So it's coming. Bear with us. Let's talk about formatting. All right, I'm going to clean things up just a hair here at the start, and we could do a lot of things manually if we wanted to, or we could just come up here and say, hey, format, convert to a table, and Google Sheets does a great job of guessing the data range and just converting this whole thing to a little bit nicer looking table. Now, we can see that it added these columns over here that we don't really want to be part of our budget table. These were just for our examples. So after we've converted it to a table, we can select this little downward pointing arrow thingy, and we can say, hey, adjust table range. And instead of going through column J, let's just cut it off at column F. That way we've got our data for our actual budget here, and it cuts off after this balance column. I'm going to show you one other formatting trick here. If you highlight a column and then you see how our cursor turns into a hand, we can click and drag this column over, and now we've got a little bit of space, just like that, just a little separation of space. I think that looks better, easier to wrap my head around. Let's go up here to View, Show Grid Lines, and select that off. So now we lose those grid lines. That's a personal taste thing. Some people may want to leave those in. We got our table. Let's highlight everything and make sure everything's still in outfit font, because that table actually changes the font. And again, if you wanted to change the colors of the table itself, we could do that over here. Let's do this nice, I would say, dark plum purple. Now that we've got our table nice and formatted, let's look at the actual conditional formatting. So if you go up here to the Format menu and select Conditional Formatting, it's going to open this sidebar, and let me just get my head out of the way so you can see everything over here. This is the Conditional Formatting Rules sidebar. And as you can see, it applies to whatever range we specify, and since our cursor was in this A2 cell, it's wanting to apply it just to that range. Well, let's actually go A2 all the way down through the whole column. And underneath here, we have format rules. We've got general rules about the text right here, whether it's empty or not, the dates right here, if a date is an exact date or before or after some date, if it's a value that's greater than or equal to or less than or between certain numbers. And then down here at the bottom, we've got a custom formula. So we can actually write custom formulas down here as well. That's outside the scope of what we're doing. Let's just come up here to the date section. And let's say date is after, and we can put today, tomorrow, yesterday, or an exact date. Well, let's just say, I don't know, 2/1/2024. So let's scroll down and look, it is highlighting now all of the dates after 2/1/2024, just like we wanted it to. And the formatting style that it's doing that in is right down here. So anything I click, you can watch it over there on the left, adds bold, italics, underlines, strike through. We'll change the text color to red. The background, we'll do this crazy bright green. We can do whatever we want to the format here, and it applies only to those ranges where this format rule is true. So it's like an if statement just built into conditional formatting rules. Okay, let's look at another range. Let's do this in the amount range, C2 through C. And now we're looking at the columns with the amounts on them. Let's go up here and say greater than 500. And now it's applying that same format to anything greater than 500. Let's make it a little bit more easy on the eyes. Change that and this, and there we go. If we wanted something that was less than, I don't know, $100, then we could change that to highlight in red. And there we go. And so it highlights those cells. Well, what if we wanted to do several things at once? That's where color scale comes into play. So now we have not a single color, but clicking here, we have a color scale. And it's got a default value. You can change it like red to green. You can use a custom color scale, whatever you want to do there. We're just going to leave it on this default one. And we're going to say the min point, so the minimum value, it's going to be this red. The percentile, the midpoint, is going to be 50%. And the max point is going to be in this color green. So it's going to go from red to white to green. And as you can see, as we get closer to the middle of the values, I think these go up to like 2,000 is like the top end that I put initially when I made these values. So they get darker green up closer to 2,000, and then they get darker red down closer to 0. And if we change the percentile to like 75, then it's going to take that 75 point to where it goes everything from 0 to 75% of 2,000 is going to be this reddish to light red to white, and only the last 25 percentile are going to be green. So you're going to see as we scroll up, there's more red, more pink, less green, and the inverse is true if we put 25. So it's going to start turning green way down there towards the bottom. Now, most commonly, you'll probably just leave this at 50%. You can also change it to a specific number, or you can leave none as a midpoint. That's formatting, conditional formatting. In this next section, we're going to start getting into some really fun stuff called data validation. We're going to create drop-down lists. We're going to attach them to other ranges that we made. This is where our categories are going to start finally coming into play. We made this back in the beginning and we didn't really do anything with it yet. Well, now we're going to throw it in here using data validation. Stick around for that. It's up next in Module 4.